The stars were still shining when the war began. No one had expected it. Not the humans. Not the Shirellan Empire. It started with a single insult. Ambassador Kale Varon stood tall, his human uniform spotless, his face calm. He had been sent to negotiate peace. But the tall alien woman standing in front of him had other plans. Dressed in glowing silver robes, her red eyes full of arrogance, Ambassador Tazari of the Xirelans looked at Kyle like he was something beneath her boots. "You humans should be grateful we even allow you in our council," she said, her voice like ice. "You are simple, emotional, and far too weak for leadership." Kyle said nothing. He had been trained to remain calm, but deep inside something twisted. He didn't just feel insulted, he felt a storm rising. The meeting ended without progress, and 2 days later, the war started. Ships exploded in space, planets locked down, trade routes froze. Both sides blamed each other. But Kale knew the truth. Tazari had gone too far. And now, he would go further. Kale remembered the first time he saw her truly angry. Not during the meetings, not during the council arguments. No. It was when she realized what he had done. Months passed. Secret missions, closed-door talks. And then, one single night at the neutral zone station, Kyle had walked into her private chamber, unarmed. Not as a soldier, not even as an ambassador, just as a man. She had been drinking rare earth, wine. She said it reminded her of blood. They argued, they yelled, they connected. She thought she had power over him. She thought it meant nothing. But weeks later, the truth came out. Tazari was pregnant with a human child. Her fury could melt steel. "You did this on purpose," she shouted in the war chamber, throwing a metal goblet across the room. "You used me. You wanted this." Kyle stood silently. "Yes," he said. Now, the galaxy buzzed with rumors. An elite Shirellan female carrying a hybrid child? It was unthinkable, disgraceful, impossible, but it was real, and Kale had planned it all. The humans called it strategy. The Xirellans called it betrayal, but Kale called it balance. "You broke us," he told her once. "I only returned the favor." Tazari hated him. And yet a part of her and couldn't ignore the child inside her. A new life, a bridge between two enemies. Or maybe a weapon. Now she had a choice: destroy him or protect the child. The war was no longer about politics. It was personal, and the real battle had just begun. Ambassador Tazari stood on the balcony of her warship, eyes locked on the stars. Behind her, officers whispered in fear. They had never seen her like this. She wasn't calm anymore. She wasn't proud anymore. She was furious. Her claws dug into the edge of the control panel as she stared at the glowing message on the screen. Medical. Confirmation. Hybrid pregnancy. 87% human DNA detected. "No," she hissed. "This cannot be real." But it was. And the human male, Kale Varon, had done it on purpose. She remembered his words clearly. "You broke us. I just made you remember we're not yours to step on." Tazari had once been the pride of the Xirellan Empire. Strong, intelligent, untouchable. Her voice could move fleets. Her stare could silence kings. But now her body was changing. Because of him. In a private chamber deep inside the ship, she stood before a mirror. Her armor didn't fit right anymore. Her stomach had started to round ever so slightly. The healers said the hybrid child would grow faster than a normal Xirellan one. She slammed her fist against the wall. "How dare he?" she growled. But a quiet voice answered her from the shadows. "He dared because you underestimated him." General Vell, her old war partner, stepped into the light. His eyes were calm, but his voice held a warning. "You played with fire, Tazari. Now it's burning both of you." She turned sharply. "Do you think I fear him?" "No," Vell said. "I think you fear what he's made you feel. Meanwhile, Kyle was on a quiet human outpost, watching the stars from a dusty control tower. His mission was over, or so he thought. He didn't expect her reaction to shake the entire Jirellan War Council. He didn't expect her to declare him a galactic criminal. Now, bounty hunters were hunting him across 3 systems. He smiled quietly to himself. She took the bait, but even he didn't expect her next move. Back on her ship, Tazari gave a direct order. Send a hunter, one she'll never see coming. I want Kale Veron captured alive. Alive? Vel asked. Yes, she said coldly, so I can kill him myself. But deep inside, her hands trembled, not from hate, but from the strange, terrifying idea that she might not want to kill him. Not completely. In the last scene, Tazari sat in her private chamber, holding the medical scan in one hand and a photo of Kale in the other. Why couldn't you just stay weak? She whispered. The stars outside twinkled like they knew a secret. The war was still raging, but a deeper war, one inside her heart, had already begun. The stars were calm, but danger moved through them like a shadow. Tazari had made her decision. She wanted Kale Veron alive, not to save him, but to make him pay with her own hands. So she sent the best. His name was Threx, a cold-blooded bounty hunter with a face like stone and eyes like steel. Half machine, half beast. He had never failed a contract, never missed a target. And now, Kale Veron was on his list. Do not kill him, Tazari ordered once more. Break him if you must, but I want his eyes open when I stand over him. Threx only nodded once and vanished into the dark. Kyle, on the other hand, had no idea she would take things this far. He had left the neutral zone quietly, hiding on a dusty moon called Virel 6. It was a place forgotten by most, just rock, wind, and old mining huts. He didn't come here to hide. He came here to think. What had started as a calculated revenge had turned into something different. Yes, he wanted to humble Tazari, but he didn't expect the part of him that missed her. Her fire, her rage, her pride. He couldn't stop replaying their final night in his mind, the way she let her walls drop just for a few hours, the way her voice softened, the way she looked at him like she didn't hate him anymore. But now she wanted him hunted like a dog, and the hunter was already near. Threx's ship landed, silently on Virel 6. He moved through the dusty wind like a ghost, scanning for life signs. His system pinged. Human DNA detected. Target locked. He raised his rifle and began the hunt. But Kale wasn't stupid. He'd planted traps, old war tricks. And when Threx stepped on the first wire, a hidden mine exploded, sending him flying back through the dirt. Kale stepped out from behind a rock, gun in hand. You're not the first bounty hunter they've sent, he said. Threx laughed, blood running down his cheek. I'll be the last. They fought hard. Fists, blades, and fire. Kale's strength was raw, but Threx's body was half metal. It was like hitting steel. But Kale had one thing Threx didn't. Rage born from betrayal. He slammed his fist into the hunter's chest and screamed, Tell her, if she wants to finish this, she can come herself. Back on her ship, Tazari watched the live feed from Threx's implant. She saw Kale standing there, blood on his face, chest heaving. And he was still beautiful, still defiant. Her hands shook as she turned off the feed. You want me to come? She whispered. Fine, I'm coming. As her ship changed course toward Virel 6, her thoughts were chaos. This wasn't just about power anymore, not about war, not even revenge. This was about something else. Something she couldn't control. Kale had done the unthinkable, not just by getting her pregnant, but by making her feel something no Jirellan ever should. Confused, weak, curious. And somewhere in the silence, her hands touched her lower belly. Again. The child moved. She froze, then whispered to herself, What are you doing to me, human? The wind on Virel 6 howled like a living creature. Kyle stood on the edge of the old mining cliff, staring at the sky. His chest still burned. From the fight with Threx, his hands were scraped. Blood dried on his cheek, but his eyes were waiting. He knew she would come, and she did. Tazari's warship landed in a storm of fire and dust. The Shirellan guards stepped out first, scanning the area, but she didn't wait for them. She walked down the ramp alone, her silver cloak blowing in the wind, her red eyes sharp like blades. Kale didn't move. Tazari stopped a few meters from him. The two stood in silence, enemy and enemy. Or something more? You sent a killer, Kale said coldly. You started this, she replied. No, you did. When you spit on everything we are. She stepped closer, her voice lowering. You used me. You planned this. Kale didn't deny it. I wanted you to feel what it's like, to lose control. Tazari's face darkened with fury, but her hand gently brushed her stomach, almost without realizing. Kyle noticed. You still carrying? He asked quietly. Her jaw clenched. Yes. Then, I didn't lose, he said. Not really. The tension between them was like fire. Every step they took toward each other sparked with memory, not just anger, not just betrayal, but that night. That one night where war faded and two enemies shared something raw and real. Tazari's voice trembled just slightly. What do you want, Kale? I want the truth, he said. Do you hate me, or are you just afraid? She didn't answer. Not with words. She stepped forward and slapped him, but before she could walk away, he grabbed her wrist. Not rough, not hard, just enough to make her stop. I didn't come here to fight you, he said. Not anymore. Then why? She hissed. He looked down at her stomach. For the child. For us. If there's even a chance that this mess could mean something better. Tazari stared at him. A part of her still wanted to kill him. But another part, the new part growing inside her, whispered something else. Stay. She pulled her arm free, then looked back at the ship. You have 3 days, she said quietly. Then I return to my empire, with or without you. Kale nodded. I just need one. That night they sat inside a broken mining shack. No weapons, no guards, just silence and starlight. For the first time since the war started, they spoke like two people, not enemies. Kale told her about Earth. Tazari spoke about her childhood. They laughed once, only once. But it was real, and when she looked at him again, the hate in her eyes had dimmed. Just a little. But outside the shack, something else was moving. In the shadows of the rocks, a third figure watched them. A spy. An assassin. Sent by someone who did not want peace. Sent to make sure the child would never be born. The stars above Virel 6 were quiet, but the ground was not. In the shadows beyond the mining shack, something moved, silent and fast. It wasn't from Earth, and it wasn't from the Shirellan Empire. It was from a third faction. One that feared what Kale and Tazari could become. The assassin's name was Sivrak, and he had only one mission: erase the child, and both its parents. Inside the shack, Kale and Tazari sat close, the fire between them flickering softly. I still don't trust you, she said, voice low. Kale smirked. That makes two of us. But even as they joked, the distance between them was different now, no longer wide and cold. It was uncertain, but not hateful. Tazari rested a hand on her belly. It was strange. The child was not yet born, but she already felt changed. This baby, she said suddenly. It's not just blood. It's a symbol. Kyle nodded. Of war? Of something new, she whispered. That's when the wall exploded. A blast of red fire threw them both to the ground. Smoke filled the room. Kyle grabbed Tazari and pulled her behind a steel crate. Laser fire rained down. Fast, sharp, and silent. Kyle looked through the dust. A tall, black figure stood at the door, face hidden behind a glowing helmet. His movements were smooth. Too smooth. Not just trained, engineered. "Who the hell is that?" Kale shouted. Tazari's face went pale. "That's not one of mine." Kale grabbed a broken weapon from the ground and fired back, but the assassin dodged with inhuman speed. A dart shot past Kale's face, striking the wall just inches from Tazari's head. "Stay down," Kyle barked. He rolled across the floor, distracting the attacker, drawing fire away from Tazari. But Sivrak was smarter. He aimed for her belly. Kyle saw it happen, saw the flick of the assassin's wrist, the needle preparing to fire. And in that moment, Kale didn't think, he just moved. The shot was silent, but the pain was loud. Kale collapsed to the ground, the poisoned dart buried in his side. "Kale!" Tazari screamed, rushing to him. The assassin took a step forward, but Tazari rose, eyes glowing red with rage, her claws sharp and shaking. "You dare attack my child?" she roared. In one motion, she leapt forward, tackling the assassin, with strength not even Kale had seen before. They slammed into the wall, metal groaning, her blade pierced through his armor. Sivrak staggered back, his systems failing, his helmet cracking. "You were a mistake," he hissed, then collapsed, lifeless. Tazari fell beside Kale, pressing her hand against the wound. "You idiot," she said, tears forming. "Why would you do that?" Kyle gave a weak smile. "Because I think I care." She looked down at him, this human who had ruined her life and maybe saved it too. "I won't let you die," she whispered. "Not now." And for the first time, she kissed him. Not with hate, but with fear, and something dangerously close to love. As Kale's eyes started to fade, she lifted him into her arms and whispered, "You gave me chaos. Now let me give you hope." Then she turned to the sky and screamed for help. The war had brought them together, but now something bigger was beginning, something no one could stop. Kale's breathing was slow, too slow. Tazari pressed her hand to the wound in his side, but the poison was already spreading. His skin was pale, his voice weak. "Don't talk," she whispered, holding his face. "Just stay alive." She had already sent an emergency signal to her warship. The med team would come soon. But her heart beat faster with every second. She had seen many die in war. She had never cared. But this human, this one mattered. The healers worked fast. Inside her ship's medical bay, Kale lay in a healing pod. Tubes in his veins, monitors blinking. He floated in thick, glowing liquid. "Will he survive?" she asked the chief healer. The older Shirellan nodded slowly. "Yes, but his recovery will be difficult. The poison was designed for humans." Tazari turned to leave, but the healer stopped her. "There's something else." "What?" "The child." Tazari froze. "What about it?" The healer took a breath. "We ran full scans. The hybrid is not normal." In her private chamber, the healer showed her the results. "The child has something in its blood," he explained. "A mutation. It's not just human and Shirellan. It's beyond." "Beyond?" Tazari asked sharply. "It's adapting. Faster than any known life form. It's already building resistance to poisons, heat, even radiation." Tazari stared at the scan. The baby's heartbeat was strong, too strong. The healer continued. "This child, it could survive where neither human nor Shirellan could. It might be the first of something new." "A weapon?" she asked quietly. "Or a bridge," he said, "between worlds." She stood there in silence long after he left. A child born from revenge, now a symbol of evolution. Tazari looked at her reflection. Her cold mask was gone. In its place was a woman, unsure of the future. Did she hate Kyle? Did she love him, or was she just afraid of what this all meant? She walked slowly back to the medical bay. Kyle's eyes were still closed, his body floating. She placed her hand on the glass. "You were right," she whispered. "This wasn't just about pride or politics. Her voice broke. This was fate. Hours passed. Finally, Kale's eyes opened. His vision was blurry at first, but the first thing he saw was her, Tazari, sitting at his bedside. "You stayed," he croaked. "Don't talk," she said. "You're not healed yet." But her voice was softer than before, and her hand held his. Kale smiled faintly. "I thought you hated me." "I did," she whispered. "I think I still do. A little." "Only a little?" She didn't answer. She just leaned closer and whispered something he never thought he'd hear. "You gave me a reason to fight for something, instead of against everything." But the peace wouldn't last. Outside, one of her officers rushed in with a report. "Ambassador, there's a message from the Jirellan High Council." Tazari stood quickly. "They know?" she asked. The officer nodded. "They know everything." Tazari's heart dropped. "They're demanding your return immediately. And they want the child." Kyle looked up, weak but alert. "They'll try to take it from you," he said. Tazari's eyes went cold again, but this time, not with anger, with protection. "Then they'll have to go through me." The Jirellan Council's ship arrived within hours. Massive, black, silent. It hovered above the desert moon of Virel 6 like a shadow waiting to crush anything beneath it. Inside the command chamber, Tazari stood tall. She wore her ambassador robes. Her armor shined. Her face was calm, but her heart was on fire. Beside her, Kale limped into the room. He had recovered enough to stand, barely, but he refused to let her face this alone. The council appeared on the screen. 7 Jirellans in gold robes, eyes cold. Voices, colder. "You have broken law and tradition," one said. "You have shamed your bloodline," another added. "You will return the child for purification," the eldest commanded. Tazari didn't blink. "No," she said. The entire room fell silent. "You dare defy us?" the high voice asked. "I do," she said, "because you're wrong." "This is not love," a female counselor hissed. "It is corruption." Tazari stepped forward. It was revenge at first, but now it's life. It's hope. This child is not a mistake. It is the future. One of the council members slammed his hand down. "Then you are no longer Jirellan." Another spoke. "We will take the child by force." Kyle stepped forward, his voice strong. "Then you'll start a war." The council laughed. "A human? Threatening us?" But Tazari's eyes burned. "No. A father." They ended the transmission. Moments later, attack ships descended. Tazari turned to Kale. "Can you still fight?" He nodded. "I'll die before they take that child," she smiled. "Good. Because I'll kill them before they get close." The battle over Virel 6 began. Tazari and Kale fought side by side. She moved like a flame. He fought like a storm. For the first time, they were no longer enemies. They were one. Jirellan soldiers stormed the base, but Tazari's crew, loyal to her, pushed them back. The sky lit up with fire. One by one, the enemy fell, and finally the council ship retreated, not because they lost, but because they realized something terrifying. Tazari had changed, and she was no longer under their control. After the smoke cleared, Kyle sat with her beneath the stars. He was bruised. She was tired, but their hands were joined. "You gave up everything," he said. "I gave up nothing," she replied. "They never deserved my loyalty." She placed his hand on her stomach. "There's something stronger growing here." Kyle looked at her. "Us?" She smiled softly. "No. All of us. The future. The peace they said we could never build. The war was over. But their story had just begun. Not enemies, not rebels, not rulers. Just 2 people, from 2 worlds, bound by blood, choice, and something far more powerful. Change.